Okay, so one thing that I find that's very bizarre is that when you talk to certain Christians for a long time, or allow them to speak for a long time, it's very eye-opening some of the things that they say. Extremely interesting some of the things that they say. And this doesn't apply to all Christians, right? Because there's a movement called the woke church, and they're more conscious about their ethnicity as being black and how the black church fares in the full scheme of things, right? But it's very interesting when you let them talk for a while, and some of them don't even acknowledge the fact that they're black. They don't acknowledge the fact that they're African American. They don't want to talk about their ancestors from West Africa. They don't talk about none of these things. And that's extremely disturbing. Extremely. As if we live in a country in which there's full equality across the board, and the Most High is governing to make sure that everybody's treating everybody fairly and righteously, and everything is okay. And then when you want to talk about things that are concrete, they say, no, I'm only worried about eternity. I don't care about what's going on right now. This doesn't mean anything. Let's just talk about eternity. That's disturbing. That's extremely disturbing. That's why there's no change in our community. Because we're sitting down waiting to die for something to happen. But yet, we see all the injustices that happen every day. We see all the disparity in regards to the fact that we are targeted when it comes to diseases, when it comes to sicknesses, when it comes to wealth, when it comes to a political voice. We're 46 million strong, but yet we have no power. But that doesn't mean anything. We just sit back, wait till Jesus come and get us and take us home. That's it. But yet you still pay a mortgage, you still pay a car note, people still get shot and killed in your neighborhood. There's still crime and violence that's going on. These things still occur. So what do? Just ignore all of that and just sit here and just wait for Jesus. If you want to sit and wait for Jesus, raise your hand. There's no judgment. If you're waiting for Jesus, for change to happen, raise your hand. Somebody raise your hand. All right, there you go. All right, so we know things are going to get set straight at some point in the future, but we have instructions on what to do today. So the interesting thing that I've discussed with Christians is because there's a taboo that you cannot be perfect. Have you ever heard that? Where they say, oh, you can't be perfect. Raise your hand if you heard that. You can't be perfect. So I'm going to touch on two things, right? This series is called Demystifying Biblical Misconceptions, right? First thing we're going to talk about is this idea of perfection. I'm going to deal with the New Testament today. I'm going to brief how to shop. So we're going to get into a couple things today, and y'all can participate, you can ask questions and so forth. But first I want to start off with Matthew chapter 5, verse 48. You can go and grab that. And I know a lot of y'all are familiar with this, but what does it mean? What does it mean? Semantics is deriving the meaning of things. What does that mean? So I'm going to let him read it, and then I'm going to ask y'all, and y'all can participate. Let me know what it means.
You ready?
Yeah.
The book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 48, reading from the King James Version. Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect.
So be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. While I write on this board, y'all tell me, what does that mean? Anybody?
Be blameless.
Interesting. Okay. Anybody else? So you said blameless, right? Wait, who said that? Man, you cheated. Mature, okay. Blameless. Somebody said without blemish.
Righteous.
Righteous. Complete. Okay.
Balance.
Said balance. Okay, what else? Anything else? Balance, without spot, blemish, mature, complete, blameless, right? Righteous.
Law-abiding.
Law-abiding. Interesting.
Obedient.
Obedient. Okay. Whole. It's good. All right. So you read, what was that you read?
Matthew 5:48.
Okay, Matthew 5:48. So let's transition to Hebrews chapter 5. And let's go to verse 12 to 14. So, interesting thing is that while I was having a discussion with this Christian, I wanted to actually go into a lexicon to help to define some terms so we won't be giving our own interpretation of what these words mean in English. He decided he didn't want to do that, and he said, let's stick straight to the English. Now, there's difficulty with that, and the reason why there's difficulty is because if you don't go into the original language, at least to do a word study, you don't, I mean, everybody's not going to get into the grammar and the syntax, okay? We push it, we would like for us to do that, but a lot of people are not going to do that. But you can simply at least just do a word study to see what's the semantic value of this actual word. What does it mean? So if you go to Hebrews chapter 5, verse 12 to 14, what does it say?
The book of Hebrews chapter 5, verse 12, for the time you ought to be teachers.
For when the time you ought to be teachers.
You have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of Yahweh.
The first principles, keep going.
And are become such as we have need of milk, and not of strong meat. For everyone that use milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But strong meat belong to them that are of full age, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. Awesome. So if you're looking at Hebrews chapter, can you zoom in to it a little bit? Because I think everybody might be able to see. Can y'all see it in the back or no? No. If not, you can follow along with if you got the app on your phone or Bible with you. I want you to pick out for me which word here means perfect. So you heard the word perfect used in Matthew chapter 5, verse 48. Which word here means perfect? Because I don't see it here, but in the original language, the same word is used. This is why you have to do at least word studies. And you have to have a good lexicon, more than one, at least 2 or 3 lexicons.
Are you 14?
Go up. Oh, who's saying that? Who's teaching my lessons? Somebody already gave the answer away, but they gave the original Koine Greek, but which English word translated here represents the word that was just said? Hopefully y'all didn't hear it, because I'm going to break it down in a second. They want it a little bit bigger. Y'all can also look on your tablets or if you got a physical. So which word there? So from Hebrews chapter 5, 12 to 14, which word there equals perfect? You said, which verse is that? 14. Okay, go down. Well, in the KJV, it's not here. Full age. Full age, okay. All right. So my question is this. Why has this not been translated as perfect? So when Yeshua, right, when he speaks, he says, be ye perfect. At least that's the translation. But then when we get here, the translators decide, oh, we're going to put full age. Just think about that. Think about it. Anybody give me feedback. Why would the translators, from your opinion, why would they translate it as perfect one place and then full age somewhere else? And not perfect again or full age in both places? Yes.
Because the idea had been already known for a fault that no one is perfect.
There you go.
You cannot achieve this.
Thank you. So what they're doing is they're creating an unexpected end state that they're pretty much stating that according to their doctrine, that you cannot do anything that is pleasing to Yah. There's nothing you can do that's righteous on your own. Everything you have to yield to Yah. And even to the point where even when you see the word good works there, I try to explain what does that mean in regards to good works? How are you measured by good works? And it's like, oh, well, it doesn't even matter if you do the good works or not. But I'm like, but even Shaul or Paul encourage you to do good works. That's really interesting. So there's already a presupposition in the minds of the translators that when they're looking at a word that's consistent everywhere and the same explanation can work everywhere semantically, they decide, oh no, we're not going to put perfect here, we're just going to put full age. What they're trying to do is move the goalposts. It's according to their doctrine. The translators had a doctrine. And if you don't read the King James, the preface of the King James, you won't even know what that doctrine is. And if you don't go and study the history behind the translators, we have the names of them to see where they're coming from. You know about the Church of England, raise your hand. That's right. What is the doctrine of the Church of England? See, if you don't know the doctrine of the Church of England, then when you go look at the translations, then you're not going to know what's going on here.
That's right, the motive.
There you go. The motive, not the intent. 10 is what you see. The motive is what is unseen. So now we got a conundrum here. We got a quandary here. So I heard words like, blameless, and I heard words like without blemish. But there's different words for that in the Greek. There's different words for that in the Greek. And it refers to something. And it has nothing to do with this word. Or it can refer to this word. It can be relational, but they're not common roots. So let's get into that real quick. I think that's very interesting when you think about it, that, there's different words for it? Yeah, there's different words for it. So let's go to, you ready? And then we're going to go into the Greek, and once we get the Greek word, place it in all the places that we're reading to see if it changes the meaning or understanding. Let's go to Luke chapter 1, verse 6. Because now Christians will say, there's nothing you could do to be righteous. It's like they throw the whole synoptic gospels in the garbage and then take you right to Paul. You go right to the synoptic. You show some of the synoptic gospel that Jesus is teaching, right? So this is what Yeshua was saying here to his audience. And that's when he was alive. But when he died, Paul got the mysteries and he unlocked everything. I'm like, wow. So Paul's the master teacher, not Yeshua. So read that, Luke chapter 1, verse 6.
The book of Luke chapter 1, verse 6.
What?
And they were both righteous before Yahweh.
Wait, hold on. And they were both. You know about the story of Luke chapter 1? Who are we talking about here? A couple. Who are we talking about Luke chapter 1? Somebody saying it. Keep going. Keep going. Wait. That they might still keep going. Now, right here, Luke chapter 1, 5. Read that for context.
There was in the days of Herod, the king of Judea, a certain priest named Zacharias.
A priest named Zacharias. Wait, hold on. Whose father is this? Jochanan, right? Keep going.
On the course of Abiah, and his wife.
And his wife was of the daughters of who?
Aram.
And her name was what?
Elizabeth.
Interesting. Read verse 6.
And they were both righteous before Yahweh.
Hold on. I thought nobody can be righteous before Yah.
Hallelujah.
Why is Luke writing this? But doesn't Luke have the understanding about Jesus and the doctrine that nobody's perfect before God? And why is this here? Isn't this the same one who wrote the book of Acts too? Yes? Wait, read that. Read verse 6 again.
And they were both righteous before Yahweh.
Now wait, they were both righteous before Yah. It don't stop there. It don't stop there. Keep going.
Walking in all the commandments.
Wait, some of it.
All.
Part of it.
All.
A little bit of it.
All.
Keep reading.
The commandments and ordinances of Yah, blameless.
Wow. So you could be considered righteous if you walk in the commandments and ordinances of who?
Yah.
And then you're considered blameless. Now that's interesting. But people will say, well, this is before Jesus. Jesus ain't on the scene. But this wasn't written contemporary to this going on. Luke came much later and he's writing a narrative of something he already has a future revelation of. So apparently he put this here for a reason. Why would Luke put this here? And I'm surprised they didn't translate this and say, we've got to fix this. This is against our doctrine. So here we have two words. We have the word for righteous and the word for blameless. Right? Okay. So let's do this.